Okay, everyone, how's it going? I'm Nick Baldwin. Welcome back to Command Your Business. Hope everyone's doing well. I got Leslie and Rob here with me today. How's it going, guys?
It's going awesome. Yeah, it's going great.
Awesome. It's been a while since we had the three of us. We're like a family. I feel like we're connected as one today. It feels warm and fuzzy inside.
Feels good to get back in the room together.
I love it.
Well,
let's do it. We have an awesome guest, don't we?
Virtual room.
Yes.
Yeah, we do have an awesome guest today. Our guest is juggling multiple. Well, he's not juggling multiple hats. You can't juggle. You could, but he's probably wearing multiple hats and juggling other things. I don't know. He is a team leader, CEO of KW Gulf Coast in Pensacola, Florida. He has a mega real estate team that will do around 85 or 90 million this year with about 250-ish home sales. He is a heavy KW Command user. He's always setting the example for all the rest of us, and his name is Preston Murphy. Thanks for being here, Preston.
Hey guys. Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm always so embarrassed when you start listing things about.
Don't be embarrassed.
I'm a realtor, just like you guys.
You better own that, Preston. Own
Yeah,
it.
those are huge
I'm
stats.
proud of it, but yes, I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
So
We're
I just
excited
want
to
to
have you.
go back to the very beginning, I guess, because there are three of us on this call, myself, you, and Rob. We were all team leaders. Tell those who are listening who may not be familiar, what is a team leader of a KW Market Center?
I think in simple terms, I'm just the leader of the market center, right? I coach and consult the top 20% of agents. And I guess effectively, I just talk about the business model at a high level. So that's kind of my role on a daily basis. And, I have a great executive leadership team that kind of manages the rest of the office. So I get to coach and consult and teach and train and all of that.
That's awesome. So,
Awesome.
Rob, would you say that that's a good definition?
I think that's probably one of the best definitions. What I've seen in a lot of team leaders is probably overcomplicating the role. And I think what I love about your answer, and I actually wrote it all down so I can share it with other team leaders, is that you just keep it simple. I coach and consult and I talk about these models at a high level. I mean, what else is there to do?
I mean,
You know what, though?
grow the office, but even I think of that in terms of, I don't really recruit people to Keller Williams. I think of it as I attract people to Keller Williams. If you're interested in running a more seamless, efficient business based on foundational level models, right, from the MREA, then that's what I can help you do. If you're looking for me to recruit you, probably not going to get that from me.
I love it. Coaching and training and consulting real estate agents to grow their business. How can you say no to that? Right. I mean, I know at KW, that's what we live and breathe, is just helping our agents win. And so I love that you bring that up, Preston, just because it speaks to my heart. And there's a lot of agents out there that don't have the support and really don't know the direction they should be going in their business. So Tell us a little bit about just how you got into the role and what really sparked your interest. I may have a sneaky suspicion of what that would be, but go ahead and give us a glimpse to the audience of how you got into the role and what drove you into it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll try to keep that simple, but ultimately, I was attracted to KW in 2013. So this is actually the 10th year anniversary almost.
Nice.
Like many agents out there, I was a salesperson working on behalf of someone else's brand. So I was at a brand-centric company, right, where they sort of believe that the end user is their customer, the buyer, the seller, the investor, whoever. And so started at 19, was one of the youngest agents in Florida. By the time I was 23, 24, I was the number 3 agent in Pensacola. And I was also miserable, right? Never saw my family, never saw my friends, never took a vacation. Good for me. I finally had some money in the bank. And I also never got to spend it because I was working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so my now business partner invited me to that lovely class that we call Bold, right? And so because Keller Williams doesn't do, or up to that point, had never done any national, international advertising, I didn't even know what a Keller Williams was. I mean, honestly, she invited me. And for the first time ever, I kind of walked into that room and sort of saw the forest for the trees, if you will, right? I have a degree in accounting, I have an MBA, good for me, whatever. But I guess in the real estate world, I couldn't figure out how to put the pieces together in terms of a system, right? I was all things to all people all the time, a listing agent, a buyer's agent, a showing assistant, a bookkeeper, a marketer, like just go down the list.
Exhausting.
And, yeah, it was literally exhausting. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I joke about this, and we have our grocery store, at least in this part of Florida, is Publix. Okay, so I was thinking, well, what if I just go to Publix and put on a green jacket and work in the meat department? That sounds really a lot more fun at this point. So fast forward, started my team literally on January 1st, 2013 at Keller Williams. Again, didn't know anything about Keller Williams. I was attracted to Keller Williams because I finally found a company that sort of spoke the language that I understood as a business person / entrepreneur. So even today, right, with our new tagline, the place where entrepreneurs thrive, that was literally my story. And so because I was a fan of the business model, I had already been attracting people to Keller Williams prior to becoming the team leader. And I'll skip a lot of steps, and ultimately the role got offered to me several times. In fact, I think it was finally on the fourth time that I recall standing in my dining room when the former general manager of different market centers called me. And I thought, if I don't accept this role at this point to sort of pour into other people, then this opportunity may never come back to me again. And it just sort of felt like, if you're a believer in God or, whatever, the universe, whatever it is that you believe in, I just sort of felt like the world was pushing me in that direction. And so blindly, I accepted the role. So that's about as condensed as I can get that. And so
let me ask you this about the role. Like, what was it about you that and this is where you're going to have to, you said that you don't like lists or accolades and things like that, but this question might make you a little uncomfortable. What was it about you that your OP saw that they felt that you would be a good team leader? Because I know that there's certain characteristics, right? But what was it about you specifically?
I think, if I was going to answer that question simply, I think that it was probably that they believed that I was a good cultural fit, meaning that I gave back to the office. I trained when and could coach other agents and taught classes when I was available to do so. I attracted people to the market center. I helped change their world. And in that way, I sort of changed or enhanced rather the culture of the market center. So if I was going to wrap that up in a package or a bow, it would just be, I think I was just a good cultural fit for the role.
Yeah. The culture is a lot when it comes to our company or any company for that matter.
Sure.
So you had the real estate team first then, and then transitioned into the team leader role. Now, as a team leader, you're really not supposed to sell real estate. So how did you make that transition? And how did the team, or at that point, was it just you and you with your sales business?
So there was two sort of milestones or discussions that we had to have about that right off the bat. The interesting thing is, right, a lot of people suggest, or offices suggest, that a top agent cannot be the team leader because, right, just a conflict of interest, right? Like, oh, well, if that agent becomes the team leader, then their business is going to skyrocket and they're going to take leads from the market center and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I was already the top agent. I was already the top agent in the local area, and I was already the top agent at the office. And that's not to be boastful. That's just simply to say that was never a concern because I was already that person. And so to that extent, it really was a discussion around, well, how could I, number one, manage both roles? And number two, how could I still give back to our agent population in such a way that would literally just be, I was helping them now grow their businesses and implement the models of the MREA such that they could live their own life by design, right? So, and then of course that got brought to the Associate Leadership Council. The Associate Leadership Council at the time fully agreed 100% that I should be the team leader. And so I didn't have to choose between both. I get to do both roles, be the rainmaker of my team, but also be the team leader of the market center at the same time.
You know, what's great about that, Preston, is like, who else to lead the agents to grow the businesses to the level that they want to get to than someone who's already doing it at such a high level. So you being that top agent, the number one agent, it's only really a benefit if you're thinking from an abundance mindset. If you're thinking scarcity, then it's like, hey, this guy's doing all the business. but really you're the best person in the seat to really coach and consult the other agents if you are sitting at the top. I think the bigger question is like, how did you manage, like, how do you balance it? Because that was when I saw you were the guest on the show, I'm like, okay, I want to ask for my own personal benefit. How do you manage running a team at such a high level and running the market center from a TL standpoint?
Great question. Great people. Okay. I mean, very simply, it's great people. I don't pretend at all like, I'm the star of the show. In some ways, I get to be the face of it all, right? But that's about the extent of what I do. I have a phenomenal director of operations for the market center that is truly like my right hand, Mark Adams, a phenomenal market center administrator, a fantastic executive leadership team that literally just runs the play every day. And then as far as my real estate team is concerned, same thing. I could not do it without those people. And I know, right, that's a very cliche answer. Everybody says that. It's not cliche. The only reason that any highly successful person truly gets to the top is because of the other people that are in their world. And quite candidly, I get up every day trying to figure out, how do I get to keep those people in my world? How do I earn the right to keep them in my world?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, Preston, because my next question to you was, and just to give the audience a glimpse of finding great people, was that easy?
No. Oh, no. Good Lord. I mean, if we're going to be vulnerable on this podcast, I have failed forward around that infinite numbers of times, right? And funny enough, as it relates to my own personal team in the market center, I would say that I have lost more great top agents along the way, probably more than anybody else has, because I failed forward in that many times. And I'm still number one. I mean, my team is still number one in the local marketplace, just not here at KW Gulf Coast, because I have learned from those failures and understood what it is that I have to do on a weekly basis from a scheduling standpoint, from pouring into my people, from biweekly one-on-ones to helping them set goals, to not holding them accountable, because I don't think that's a thing. I believe that you hold yourself accountable, but really calling attention to your strengths and where your opportunities for improvement might lie. So I have had to work, here's the point, I've had to work on the schedule more than anything else. How does my calendar support my goals in both of those roles?
Preston, what advice would you give somebody around failing forward? This is something that comes up quite a bit that we hear with high level leaders, is they embrace the failing forward. So if someone's listening and saying, gosh, I hear this, I understand the concept, I just don't know how to do it, I'm scared, they're paralyzed to make these choices. What advice would you give them to overcome that?
Feel the fear and do it anyways. And I don't know where we heard that. Like, I certainly didn't create that. I've heard that somewhere, but I definitely can say that that's kind of what I practice on a daily basis. I, like all of us, right? We have our own insecurities. We have just things that we are afraid of. And we definitely have to lean into the discomfort of that. And I recognize that that is much easier said than done. But I was also just listening to the One Thing podcast, actually, and Jordan Freed, when the high level MAPS coaches, was talking about a particular quote that he heard from Carl Jung. And I'm going to butcher this quote, but it was basically like, you have to make the unconscious conscious in order, and I forget the rest of the quote, but basically in order to move forward in some ways, the way that I interpreted that quote. And so feel the fear, do it anyway.
Love it.
So let's go back a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about team leadering, because I was a team leader. Rob was as well. Who taught you to be a team leader? Because I remember my first day, right? And it was basically like, hey, here's your office, here's your desk, here's your phone. I'm like, cool. What do you want me to do? I don't know. Use it. Yeah. Literally. And I just want to say, for the record, if it wasn't for that team leader mastermind group on Facebook, I don't think I would have really gotten through it, because I learned so many tips of the trade from other team leaders. Preston being one of them. I recruited the #1 solo agent in our market from Coldwell Banker using one of Preston's strategies of inviting these top agents to family reunion. I used one of strategies where like you create this gift basket and you shoot a video and you go to their house. There's a whole thing. It was pretty awesome. It worked. She was the number one solo agent at Coldwell Banker for 25 years, and I brought her over in just 9 months. So you were one of the people that taught me just through social media and reading and watching and learning. Who taught you?
Oh gosh. I mean, just like you mentioned, so many phenomenal leaders inside of that KW Team Leaders Making It Happen page, right? The amazing Karen Pralls of the world, the Jessica Foxes of the world, my MAPS coach, Rich Rector. Rob had plenty of things to contribute to that group. So many people, I think, part of that community, give back in the spirit of helping to bring the Keller Williams business model and culture to the agent population. And I still think, even though we're the largest company under one brand the world has ever known, I still think that we're a big secret in a lot of ways, right? I don't know, Aaron Kaufman talks about that in his profit share class and what have you. So the direct answer to your question is nobody taught me how to be a team leader. I had to fail forward and to figure that out along the way, which actually, just speaking of that, that's why I think that the very idea that Mark King is the president of our company is such a breath of fresh air in so many ways, because Mark King he still considers himself to be a team leader. He knows that this is one of the most difficult roles in our organization. By the way, that is not to downplay the difficulty of the other roles as well, especially the MCA and some of those things. So I'm just suggesting that no one taught me. We've actually had a lot of feedback back to Mark and Jason and the amazing Jen Lewis, who is going to be sort of the liaison for the TL community, about there being a skills camp for team leaders. And actually that is coming to be. So from what I understand, next year, that's going to be something that all new TLs and actually experienced TLs, who, by the way, never got a great foundation, will actually be able to step into. So great for us at KW, because that's going to be, I think truly, I know I'm kind of running on here about this, but I really think that the team leader is kind of the secret weapon of Keller Williams.
I agree with you 100%.
How would you, in what respect?
Well, right. I don't know. When you look at sort of brand centric companies, or really more like the top down structure, right? Like in typical cases, right? The broker is also the owner of the company, who, by the way, is also cutting commission checks and handling compliance and trying to figure out when they're going to market and advertise. And oh, by the way, they're probably also in production too, to keep the lights on, by the way, especially in a shifting market. And in the Keller Williams world, it's not like that, right? At least at our office, the broker has no ownership interest in the company at all. She's a licensed employee paid to handle all the legal and liability challenges. My job as a team leader is to talk about the business model and coach and consult the top 20% of agents. The MCA has a role. Our launch coaches have a role. Our market center tech trainer has a role. So effectively, we have an entire leadership team that, when the models run properly, those individuals specialize in one thing or the other to help the agents grow their business. And that is a real difference in the sort of general brokerage business models, right? In our world, okay, Nick, you might have a license and you might attach that license to the Keller Williams, our company, if you will. But at the end of the day, the way we look at it is your customers, you're the real estate company, right? Your customers are buyers and sellers and investors. And in our world, when the business model is run properly, our customers, as far as Keller Williams, are agents. So it's not Nick Baldwin working for Keller Williams. It's Keller Williams is supposed to be working on behalf of you, right? And I think in that way, the team leader's job is to direct all of those pieces, direct the market center leadership team such that our agents get the full benefit of our platform. That's unlike any other brokerage, by the way. And also, too, I would add, just to dot that I, even when you think about the revolutionary, right, brokerages out there today, right, that are, and there's so many of them at this point. I mean, it's beyond just the one that all comes to mind. Like we have to recruit to grow our company. That's actually not a thing that I want my agents doing at all. Okay, your job is to go sell houses. My job is to attract people to the company. So you can go focus on selling houses, and my job is to grow the company. And that's the way that I think about it too. So I think even in that way, even in terms of wealth building, right, for all of our agents who want to partake in growing their wealth, they don't even actually have to be the person that does it. I have to do that. You give me a name, I recruit on your behalf, attract on your behalf.
Yeah,
I love this conversation.
The recruiting, attracting conversation has always been kind of an interesting one to have too. And I agree with everything you're saying, Preston. It's like, this isn't about recruiting. This is about attracting. And if you attract these people, they get to make the decision whether they're going to join you or not. You're not forcing anybody into joining your office. I also think that it's no different than an agent growing their business through buyers and sellers. And you're growing the market center business through productive real estate agents that are looking to get to the next level.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I absolutely, the most fulfilling thing I do, other than coaching and consulting my top agents, the most fulfilling thing I get to do every day is to sort of attract other top agents to our company. And Nick knows, like we called it R2s today, right? Attracting top agents to the company. That's the only thing I ever did. I attracted 34 of the top agents in our local market area before we ever called it R2s. Now, some of that, by the way, was out of necessity. Some of that was because I was handling both roles and failing forward a lot. So I figured, well, if I'm going to have any impact on our market share, if I'm going to have any impact on our profitability, well, I better just go after the top agents right off the bat. So it was kind of ignorance is bliss. But quite candidly, that's one of the most fulfilling things I get to do all day, is because it's not recruiting. Recruiting is this idea, right, where you go out, you throw up Keller Williams or whichever company you work for, you throw up Keller Williams on 100 people, and maybe one of those is going to stick. In my world, right, in our world as team leaders, we don't do that at all. In fact, we get to first base. We do a needs analysis, right, a 26 question needs analysis where we identify what is it that you believe you're a rock star at. What are the things that you have some major challenges with? What is the vision for your business? Where do you tell me about leverage? What is your situation currently with leads? How can we basically identify how to get you to the next level? And I'm very candid in the way that if I don't believe that I can change your business and candidly your life, then I'm probably not inviting you to Keller Williams, right? Because I don't need you to change the sign in the front yard. So we do a needs analysis, and then based off of what I discover in the needs analysis, then we prescribe the models. Then we talk about how to get you from where you are, what the gap is, where you would like to go, and then how I can help you fix that. And so by the end of those conversations, the only thing that you're deciding is whether or not you want my help in doing that. I'm not recruiting you to Keller Williams.
I think that's making a very good point. A lot of times when you're talking to an agent at another company, one of the first things out of their mouth is, I'm not looking to make a move. And I was always thinking to myself, and then I started to say it, well, I'm not even sure if I would want you to do that because we don't know each other. That would be silly if I called you and
nobody's
said,
asked
hey, come
you
to
yet.
Keller Williams. Right, well, don't flatter yourself, bud. No,
we're not at that point yet.
Yeah. Listen, take me to dinner. I'll take you to dinner first. Okay, let's just get to know each other.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's where some team leaders go wrong, or recruiters in general, or attractors, as we like to say, they go wrong is they think that the agent needs everything that company has. Right. And so it's not about what the company has, it's about what that agent needs. So
correct.
Hey, if that agent needs tech, okay, great. Maybe we'll have a conversation around tech. If that agent needs leads, great. Let's have a conversation around leads. But if you start throwing up your company in front of them, they're like, none of what you said is appealing because I don't need any of it. You just completely wasted your time.
What's fascinating about that is, there's always a lot of discussion, right, around profit share. Okay, first of all, let me not discount the fact that I believe that profit share is a phenomenal tool to grow your wealth. And by the way, I would think on average, I earn about $3,500 a month in profit share. So by the way, phenomenal tool, phenomenal value. Rarely do I discuss profit share with anybody? Because, right, that's not top of mind with those folks. They're trying to earn some gross commission income. Okay, we need to talk about leads. We need to talk about leverage. We need to talk about transacting the business. We need to talk about a whole lot of things before we talk about profit share.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
that is just okay. By the way, there's 800 plus team leaders. I'm not suggesting remotely that I'm the oracle around that. I'm telling you that's how I do it. That's what I do.
Disclaimer.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that talk about
the
profit
fine
share and
print.
have done phenomenal jobs at doing so.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree. Well, and it's interesting too. So if we were just to kind of take this conversation and think about the listeners here, you know, some of these listeners are going to be agents, maybe agents at different brokerages. So they don't know what they don't know, right? And so when we sit down with somebody to talk about their business, we want to inform them what they could potentially have, and also kind of do like a SWOT analysis of what their strengths and weaknesses are, to inform them how there are different solutions to, push through that plateau, and give them all the knowledge that we have around those 4 business models, right? So when we sit down with an agent, it's really to just show them, and also guide them. They don't know what they don't know. So it's up to us to kind of give them that recipe to say, here is something that's going to help you grow your business astronomically. And by the way, I haven't even mentioned Keller Williams. So
Right.
I love being a part of this company just because of that, because we get to have those conversations with people. We get to help people change lives, and then help them see the light at the end of the tunnel if they're feeling stagnant in their business, or if they're a brand new agent, because let's just keep it real. Brand new agents most of them, they don't know where to go, where to turn, what kind of tools are even offered, or even how to put a system together or follow any kind of model. So I love this conversation because we're, telling them, here is a great recipe for particularly your business model. Then let's talk about, what else you may need down the road.
Well, let's highlight 2 things there. Let's highlight 2 things of what I just heard you say, Leslie, which is, one, right, we learn in Bold, right, that we don't want to compare our insides to everybody else's outsides. And if you're a new agent listening to this podcast, let me assure you that the top agents, the mega agents that you see, their businesses are frankly disastrous.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, I just said that.
Yes.
So if you don't like that, don't email me. Okay. They're a disaster. And that, by the way, that's the beauty of what we get to do at this company, is that we get to help all agents, no matter sort of where they are in the maturation of their career, whether they're brand new agents, and we can help them lay a really phenomenal foundation with education and training and launch coaching and productivity coaching and all of that, or even the top agents, by the way, who I just interviewed one last week. I was like, okay, since we're talking about command your conversion, let's talk a little bit about command. I was discussing, how many contacts do you have in your database? Well, I don't know. Okay. Well, what's your follow-up system? Well, I don't know. Okay. Well, you have a system. Well, I don't think I do. Okay. I'm like, well, you do have a system. It might not be a good one, but you have one. So what is it? Well, it's a spiral notebook. Okay. So here's the point. Even if you only used the contacts, by the way, applet of command, it would be worth it. So, and just a 1,000% discussion, right? Just a quick discussion about, number one, like just the lead generation model, right? 19 to connect and 1 to cement and the 36 touch program. We just, with this top agent, by the way, the how I was able to even make any headway with this particular individual was just a very simple discussion about the contacts applet. And it was like, boom.
Yeah.
Right? Like for her, it was like, if I just did that one thing, number one, my life would be, I would get so much more of my time back. My life would be so much more efficient. And oh, by the way, I would command a greater ROI off of the people that I already know, because right now my follow-up system is, oh, I need to think of Jane. Okay, maybe I should call Jane today. Great. Well, when was the last time you talked to Jane? Ooh, I don't know, maybe 4 months ago. Well, wouldn't it be awesome if you knew? Wouldn't it be awesome, right? If you were able to record some notes on your contacts applet, and you can quickly look down the timeline and see, these are the things that we talked about last time. By the way, create a task about that, add a SMART plan to it, reference what you discussed last time so that that person knows that you actually heard what they were saying and you took notes and that you cared. I mean, that one applet could be the only thing that you ever use in command, and your business would be infinitely greater than it was today if you used it.
Yeah, Yeah, the
100%.
GCI that you would add just by keeping in touch with the people you already know is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And there's
potentially.
great
Yesterday-
statistics that KW now
Yes-
has about that.
Yep.
Yesterday, I talked to an agent in my region doing about 12 million a year. He's in California, so he's a very high price point. Only sells about, when I say only, but he ate about 18 houses a year. So he makes a good living, right? That's a good living. But he told me right off the bat, he's like, listen, just to be honest with you, I'm lazy. And, in a market like that, where he's in, where your average price point's $1 million and you're selling 18 houses a year, maybe being lazy, you can afford it a little bit more than you can if you're like in the suburbs of Michigan.
Yeah.
But, I said to him, like, could you imagine, like, if you weren't lazy and you had like legitimate systems in place? Like, these agents, a lot of the top agents, the business, like, they don't go for it. They wait for it and it comes to them. But I always say, could you imagine if you didn't do that and you actually had clear-cut systems, how much business would actually come to you? You think you're doing well now, right? And so you're using command at a high level with your real estate team, and you were using command even before command was good.
Yeah. Well, and there was a couple of different reasons for that. One is, as the team leader, right? Speed of the leader, speed of the pack. If I was going to try to influence, right, and get my agents, like my associates, on command, well, then I had to, number one, recognize and understand how command operated to begin with. So I'm always an early adopter anyway, but that was actually kind of out of necessity. And then the other thing about that, I'm not going to mention the program that I had before, but it was costing me over $1,000 a month to run my team. So by the way, just by deciding to use command for $25 per user per month, right, I automatically was able to lower my operating expenses and get a raise.
Yeah, you gave yourself a raise. Yeah, I love it.
So talk to us a little bit about your team's command usage. So, I mean, obviously you're using it all at 100% capacity. What areas of command do you find the most leverage or the most value?
I would say top of mind, contacts for sure. Well, I guess that can lead into many things. So contacts, specifically making sure that we have, all that, the basics, right? Phone number, email address, mailing address. They're on smart plans, their birthday, home anniversary. So both contacts and smart plans combined is one thing that absolutely has increased our business a ton. And even if it didn't increase our business, just the very fact that it's more seamless and more efficient for us to keep track of our contacts and leads, right, then we just won. And then the number two things I would say would be opportunities, right, or i.e. the sales pipeline. We use that at a high level, number one, as a team, so I can look at our potential income and our probable income, right? So from a cash flow standpoint, but also we actually kind of gamify the opportunities for each individual agent. So for example, all those agents out there are like, oh my gosh, I have no idea who to follow up with this week. One thing that I just do on our one-on-ones with my agents is I literally pull up their opportunities. And I train them, if the only thing you did all day was that you pulled up the opportunities tab and you said, okay, how do I move the people from the left, right, which is under cultivate, to the right, i.e. it's how you get paid, okay? If the only discussions that you had all day was look in your cultivate column and how do you have a conversation with John Doe today to move him from cultivate 6 months plus or 6+ months to 3 to 5 months, whatever it is that you have in your command. So that's for the agents on my team who might not, or for the agents out there in the world who might not be as organized, right? If you even just simply used the opportunities tab as also your system for follow-up, that would be huge for you in your business. So to answer your question, contacts and opportunities we use at a high level. Smart plans, obviously integrated into the contacts. We use that at a high level. I now actually have a marketing assistant. So, she's looking to be a little bit more creative than designs can offer right now. But by the way, I've had the team for a decade and we've been using Command since 2019. And so I have personally been a proponent of the designs applet since then because it is so seamless. Okay. So, it's the idea and leadership fundamentals that, you want to sort of implement before you innovate. Okay. So just use what's there. And then as your business grows, if you add additional team members, then you can afford to be a little bit more creative down the road, but it's all there. It's all inside of it. But Nick, you make a great point in that if you're overwhelmed by all of that, use one thing in Command. Use one thing. Still going to be worth it.
Totally agree. And you said something that I completely agree with, and something that I train agents on when it comes to the opportunity pipeline. You have your different phases. Your cultivate phase, which is nurturing a potential client, your appointment phase, your active phase, your under contract phase. Anyway, so your cultivate phase is your lead generation every day, and it should, and I always say you have three goals every day. One goal is to have enough conversations where you're moving a potential client from cultivate to appointment. So you're setting an appointment. You're having enough conversations every day where you're moving someone in your cultivate pipeline who maybe is 9 months out from buying or listing, and you're moving them closer to the appointment phase. And then you're having enough conversations with your database where you're taking someone from your database who isn't in the pipeline and putting them into the pipeline. So it's it's a circle that always replenishes itself.
Yeah.
So that's, if whoever's listening, 3 things every day. That's it.
Well, and the other 2 things I would highlight before we move on, because I get so excited about Command, is I just love it. I mean, I love it all of it.
We love that you love it.
Checklist. My transaction coordinators love the checklist. We like the opportunities task, and we absolutely love the client updates. I mean, the client updates are just so simple and so seamless. And by the way, if you're looking to gain some time back, think of it like this: your customers are busy. They don't want to, a lot of us sometimes grumble, like, oh, I got to send this text and I got to send this email and I've got to get back to let the client know kind of where we are in the process of the transaction. Remember, your clients are just as busy as you are. They've got kids, they've got pets, they've got recitals, they've got this thing, they've got that thing. It's whatever, right? They have all these things that they have to do. So when you set that a standard and the expectation on the front end that as we go through the transaction, the milestones that you need, or even, by the way, want to know about, we're going to send you a daily email at 9 a.m. or if they work the night shift, you can tell Command to send them the email at 2 a.m., right? Do whatever works for you, because that immediately lets them know that these are all the milestones that we've reached. This is everything that the team has taken care of, or the individual agent has taken care of on my behalf. And it's smooth sailing, and it just keeps you from having to send the text and the email and make the phone call. Not that you don't want to do those things, but I guess my point is, if you're going to send emails and text and phone calls, I would say you would want to do that around lead generation and prospecting. And once you're in the transaction phase, let the technology be your leverage to do the heavy lifting for you.
Love that. And I think the biggest part of that is setting the expectation up front. Like you just said, this is what's going to happen. And the clients do love it. We use it the same way as you. It's a great time saver.
I hadn't thought of this, but I think my TC's just, and maybe y'all can confirm, I think my TC's just told me that you can actually add the lender and the other agent to those client updates. Is that correct?
Well,
I don't know if that's a new update or not. I'll have to check.
Yeah, because I just
Command,
thought that just went, I'm like, are you serious? How amazing is that? But by the way, if that's not a thing, that should be a thing. So, you should be able to add the other agent and or the lender or the whoever to the client updates.
Yeah, well, as long as they're a contact in Command and they have an email, then you can add them.
There you go. Okay, so maybe that's why we do, because we add all of them in there as vendors.
Exactly.
And add them to your database, and then add them to the client update emails.
Right.
And then there you go.
See, so they
There you
do
go.
know, man. They're awesome. I love them. That's
Hey,
why-
so we're gonna wrap it up. It's been a great talk. Any final thoughts, comments, questions? No?
No.
Crickets?
No, I think this was great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Preston. You are a rock star. So I know that there's so many great golden nuggets in this podcast. There's going to be so many people that are going to just be rewinding and taking notes.
I've got all my notes.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing.
You know, Preston's gonna be a guest at Command Con on November 9th.
Yeah.
We officially hit 7,000 registrants for Command Con today.
Woohoo!
There's about 400 market centers that are going to be live streaming Command Con.
Wow.
So that's going to be fun. So go to www.commandcon.com and register for the free virtual event all about KW Command. It's going to be a great time. Preston's going to be on the mega team panel with George Kelly from Pennsylvania and Kim Rock, also from Pennsylvania. So lots of great agents are going to be talking about their Command usage.
Preston,
Preston,
can
if
you?
anyone wants to, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the same thing. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, Preston, what's a good place to see you online or reach out to you?
Well, so my phone number, anybody can have it. You know, 850-380-0571. If you've got calls or you want to email me or text me some of that question, I'm happy to help. You can also email me, PrestonMurphy@kw.com. So thank you guys so much for having me. I think the very fact that we're over 7,000 people going to Command Con is such a testament to you all and the work and the hard work that you guys do every day and the impact that you all have had. So thanks so much for putting this on.
Well, let's hope that Zoom works.
Yeah, I'll just be hanging out
Yeah. Before we went live, Preston was in the waiting room for like 12 minutes and we had no idea.
Gosh.
So I hope that when we have 10,000 people watching Command Con, we don't have that problem.
But I'm the problem. It's me. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks, Preston.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. See you on the next one.